Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to do a video talking about some batons. A lot of interest in batons. I've showed them in the past in a couple demo videos. I've been using these 5 batons on and off since I got them, months and months. On 2 of them, I've been using them for over a year. And what I mean by using them, I mean carrying them on and off, getting a feel for what it's like carrying that extra weight, smacking things with them, water bottles and branches, breaking stuff, and just kind of seeing the durability of them overall. I've not used these on people, but I can tell you hitting, branches off of trees and hitting gallon water jugs filled with water creates quite a bit of resistance, way more than what it would be like hitting a person, even, hitting bone and legs and kneecaps and elbows and all that kind of nasty stuff. The first thing I want to mention, before I even talk about these specifically, is the big question is, do you get an expensive baton as opposed to a cheaper baton, okay? Because you have things like, the Century and the Asp batons, and they could be over $100 depending on what size you get, right? And then there's all kinds of accessories like interchangeable tips, which is very cool, by the way. But is it worth all that extra money? The quality is definitely there, but I can tell you with playing with these, even these cheap ones, I have a Smith & Wesson and a Schrade, actually 2 Smith & Wessons here, and I can tell you that they don't break. Hitting so many different things with this, just trying to test its durability, trying to get it to bend, snap, break, fall apart, it just doesn't happen. All right, so I think if you go with a cheaper company like Schrade or Smith & Wesson, obviously they're both owned by Taylor brands, even though it's cheap, it's still a quality baton. Is it going to be as good as an Asp? No. The steel they use is not as good. The heat treat is not as good. But it's not something that most people are using over and over and over again. What I mean by that is if you're a police officer or military, or you use this in your profession, and you might use your baton on something or someone, and you still need it for duty use, that's different. That's a different situation. I would say 99.9% of people watching this video, if you're even interested in a baton, it would be for a self-defense option, which you're probably never going to use anyway. But I'm here to tell you, even after using a bunch of cheapos, and I've used probably 3 or 4 different batons. I have a spring baton from, like the 60s. I've had a couple Chinese, like $15 batons I've gotten at flea markets, and beat the crap out of everything from stumps to, all kinds of stuff. When you're a kid, you kind of play around with these things. And even the super cheap ones, I've never had them bend or break. So, do you spend $150 on a large professional Asp baton, or do you spend 30, 40 bucks, or even less on something like these? I truly can say that from experience now, not with people, but with many different hard objects, that it doesn't really matter as far as performance. I think that if you were to actually have a baton and carry it around, and if you were in that very unique, rare situation where you need to use it, even the cheap ones would do the job just fine. Keep in mind what these are for. These are for impact weapons in a defensive situation. In other words, your life is being threatened. You need some kind of advantage that's better than your fist. You may be having an attacker with some kind of a weapon of their own, whether it's a gun or a knife or whatever. Batons are an awesome option for defense because you do get reach. Reach will always win. That's why if you're in, let's say you're 50 feet from someone, a gun will beat a knife every single time, because you have that reach. A gun has much more reach, sending a bullet through its barrel towards its target, as opposed to someone holding a knife. In close quarters, it's a little bit different. Close quarter combat, when you're literally wrestling with someone, the knife has the advantage over like something like a baton. But when you have a little bit of room between you and your attacker, that's where you want reach. And people will always debate this, but I think most professionals will say, I'd rather have a baseball bat than, a kitchen knife if I'm a little bit, further from my target, okay? Because reach always counts. Doesn't matter how effective your weapon is. If it can't touch that person, it's not going to do any damage. So batons are good options, but I have to stress this. First of all, there's legal issues. Second of all, people sometimes forget, what's going to happen after the attack? What's going to happen after I use my baton and break bones or kill someone? Because you can very easily kill someone with something like this, okay? Especially in the moment when you're heated and you're furious and your adrenaline's going, and some people can go too far and you can kill someone. So very serious things to consider and think about. And besides that, again, all the legalities of carrying them and using them where you live. But if you do find yourself settling, or not really settling, I shouldn't use that word. If you find yourself picking or choosing a baton for your specific options for defense, you know, the question remains, you know, do you get an expensive one or you get a cheap one? And I'm here to tell you, I think the cheap ones are just fine, and I think the cheap ones will break a kneecap, you know, or a fibula or tibula or whatever you want to smack and break. It will do the job, okay? It will choke someone, it will put someone down. It doesn't matter if it's a $20 piece of steel or a $150 piece of steel, all right? That's just my opinion. So anyway, on to these specific ones and my experience with them. The first one we have here is the Schrade. This is a 26-inch baton. All right, let's look at the markings real quick on here. See on the tail cap. If you haven't seen all batons, kind of at least expandable batons like this, there are different ones. I have a spring baton, which I didn't take out for this video, but for the most part, I'll do a separate video showing how they work and how to disassemble them and stuff like that. But basically, there's just a tail cap here. You unscrew the tail cap. There's 3 parts. They're consecutively smaller, so when you use a force, an abrupt motion, and then stop, these parts will obviously, you know, continue moving out the front and kind of lock in place. Okay, I'll show you this. Well, actually, I could show you this one off camera here. If I give it a swing, you'll see there's the handle portion, which everything's stored in. Then what happened was when I stopped motion, the internal parts kept moving forward. The second bar here, which is smaller in diameter, obviously, so it can pass that hole, came out. That stopped, and then the third piece, it was inside, obviously even a smaller diameter, kept moving forward until it kind of locked in position. You can see the tip on here. The only difference really between cheap batons and expensive batons is actually 2 differences. Most of the ASP batons and the more expensive ones out there do have an interchangeable tip system, so you can unscrew the tip and get different shapes and stuff. That's a cool option. The only other difference besides that is the quality of the steel used. With the Schrade and Smith & Wesson ones, it's still a very good quality steel. It is heat treated, okay? Sometimes you'll get like a super cheap, no-name Chinese baton, and the steel is not heat treated. Those are the only ones you could have issues with, where they could bend or snap or have problems, okay? But this is a very solid piece of steel here. And again, smacking, you know, gallon water jugs filled with water, breaking them open. There's a lot of resistance on these, and I had no issues with bending, no issues with snapping, breaking, falling apart, anything like that at all. So anyway, that's what it looks like. Again, this is a 26-inch one. The handles on here, we have a deep checkered rubber. Okay, it offers some grip, not quite as good as this one, which I'll talk about in a second. Aesthetically, I like it more, just simple diamond pattern. But really, really nice baton. All right, for the money, especially. You're not gonna spend more than 40 bucks on these. If you look around, you can find it for 20. The second one here is also a 26-inch baton. This one is a Smith & Wesson. All right, see the markings on here. And there's the actual model number if you want to look this one up specifically, SWBAT26H. Also a 26-inch baton. This one sports a different type of grip on it. It looks like a weaved basket with the addition of these kind of pill-shaped, you know, portions that are raised. This offers more grip. This is a stickier, grippier texturing than this. Okay, even though I like the way this one looks more on the left, the one on the right offers more grip. By the way, both of these 26-inch batons are long enough so you can have a full double grip on this. If you wanted to swing this thing like a baseball bat, you certainly could, okay, even with very large hands. So also a very, very cool baton. One thing to note is the sheaths on these, okay? Here's the sheath for the Smith & Wesson, okay? And let me collapse this right now real quick. Here is the sheath for the Schrade. All right, now it's kind of a hit and miss on the Schrade one. The quality is fantastic on this, really, really nice. And I like the addition of the D-ring on the bottom so you can hang things off there if you wanted to, especially if you're gonna mount this to your bag or something. However, I'm not a fan of the strap here. I just don't like it. It's something that's in the way. It's another step. If you're using a baton, it's because it's in the moment, you know, heat of the moment, time, every split second counts. You don't want something that's possibly gonna snag. And no matter how tight you get this, you can still pull the baton out anyway. So the strap, I mean, it doesn't serve all that much purpose there. I just don't like the style of the sheath. The quality is definitely great, but the style is not good. I like this one because it's simple. Even upside down, it retains inside the sheath here. All right, but when you need it, there's nothing in the way. So much prefer the Smith & Wesson sheath. Plus the back is set up the same as most large tactical fixed blades. Okay, so you can weave that into your molly gear, attach to your bag if you want. You know, of course, you can carry it on the belt. So I just like that sheath much better. The last cheaper one, this is a 12-inch pocket baton. Comes with a pocket clip, which is very nice and convenient. Also this sleeve, which is removable, offers all kinds of grip options so that like you can have an open fist, you're not going to drop it. You could use this still as a coup baton, you know, because it's still poking out on both sides. So again, more variety, but the disadvantage of less reach. The idea of having a baton as a weapon is having that extra reach, okay? Again, this is 12-inch. I pop that out, you can see fully in the screen here. 100 times better than having your fist, you know. Just as deadly as the large ones, it's just you don't have as much reach. And of course, you know, in swinging this, there's going to be a little less weight and all that. So something to consider. But the advantage, obviously, is you can carry this every single day, whereas these are very large, cumbersome, and heavy. All right? But another option nonetheless. Then over here, I have two expensive batons, or more expensive, I should say. First, I have an ASP. This is the 16-inch, the P16. This is a lightweight version, okay? Aluminum. Also has a pocket clip, okay? If you want to carry this for daily use, you certainly can. A little bit longer than the Smith & Wesson here, as you can see. So a little bit more reach there. Also very lightweight. Obviously, advantages there. As far as being lightweight, I mean, there's an advantage that it's lightweight to carry, but a disadvantage when you're actually using it. So it's the same with knives. I mean, you might want to carry a smaller knife so you can carry it every day, but defensively, you're going to want the biggest blade and the sharpest blade you can have available to you. So it's a compromise. The last one here is also a 16-inch. This is another Century baton, which is made by ASP. It's another 16-inch baton. The only difference is that this one has a much wider grip, and it's full steel with like a rubber overmold. So it offers more weight, and you know, it could be a negative or a positive, just depends on how you're looking at the situation. But as far as use, it definitely has more positives. The rubber on here offers a little bit more grip, even than the knurling on the lightweight version. It's a very cool small baton, but also more expensive. Way more expensive than some of the Chinese stuff you're gonna find. Definitely more expensive than the Schrades and the Smith & Wesson options in the same price category. You can get a full size, like 24 or 26-inch baton. So, you know, as far as the quality, yes, the ASP batons are a little bit better, but I still like the cheap ones, and they still work. And I'm telling you, I beat the crap out of so many things with all of these batons, and there's no issues with any of them, cheap or expensive. So if you're in the market for a baton and you know you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, there's nothing wrong with going with something that's cheaper. The one thing you just want to ensure is that the company is heat treating their steels for their baton. That is the biggest factor here. Expensive or cheap, it doesn't matter the steel type. It has to be heat treated, okay? That is a big deal, because that's going to be a difference between something bending and breaking, as opposed to, you know, you be able to use it on very, very hard surfaces and tough surfaces without any issues. The only other thing to notice is that both the ASP batons have these rounded heads, okay, as opposed to the Smith & Wesson, and the other ones as well, they have more of a squared off head, okay? So keep in mind those sharper corners, although it's not sharp to the touch, those will probably lacerate and tear skin much easier than some of the rounded ones here. But again, that's all going to depend on your application in using these. Now, with everything said, if you're kind of on the fence as to what to carry for defense, I would say batons, although they're very effective, they have that lethal option. And if you don't use them properly, if you misuse these defensively, you could seriously and permanently injure someone, if not kill them. I highly recommend and suggest a better option being pepper spray. A very good high quality pepper spray and a really bright flashlight are two non-lethal defensive options. Now for me, for someone like myself, I'm able to carry a firearm. Now that gives me more power than other people as far as defensive options, because I legally can carry a firearm. I also carry things like pepper spray. depending on where you live, your legalities, and your concern, because not everyone wants to kill someone, right? I think everyone on this planet has an interest in defending themselves. But you have to kind of draw a line in the sand here, because some people on this side, hey, look, I want to defend myself, but I don't want to kill anyone. I can't live with that, you know? Not only just the legal ramifications, but the moral ramifications, you know? Some people defend themselves and end up killing someone, and it ruins their life. You know, it's hard for some people to get over something like that. It definitely changes your life. And on the other side of the fence, there's people who understand that if they're defending their life justifiably, if they have to kill someone, so be it. So there's definitely different types of people out there, and your choice of defensive option, you know, it changes depending on your morals and scruples, and, you know, and of course your location, where you live, where you can legally do to defend yourself. Batons are awesome. I did carry them on and off, but ultimately I just stopped carrying them. I do have them in different rooms of my house. I have them in my vehicles. I like that the options are there. Options are good. But as far as defensive situation, baton's not the first thing I would want. I would want a firearm, which is my lethal, effective, quick option. And I want pepper spray, some kind of non-lethal option because not every situation your life's on the line. I say more times than not, your life's not on the line. Someone's either a nuisance or, you know, causing some kind of disturbance where you could be harmed, but you're not going to be seriously harmed or killed. So that's where pepper spray really shines, and I really try to push that for people. Not only because it's non-lethal and it's not going to permanently damage anyone, but also because of the fact that more people can have it all around the world legally. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.